and we are blessed to be with a guest in our program, of which we are to handle a very sensitive topic of discussion that is to benefit you over there. Welcome back from the place of work, and we're delighted to be with Mr. Namakajo Frederick Derrick, and this is a legal practitioner, human rights activist, of which is doing a good work in this central city of Kampala. And we appreciate you for your great services. May you greet the viewers. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Joseph Tindeba, my elder brother, for this wonderful opportunity, as well as salutations to the management of Smart 24 Television. You know, in the entire country as of now, we need a social media platform. We need a point of dissemination where mainly the youth could stand audibly, confidently, and share what they understand with business, with the economy, how the backbone of this country is running and operating, not only to consider the political views. Also I send my greetings to all the viewers of Smart 24 Television. Please continue following Smart 24 Televisions, continue subscribing.
So
we shall share the views.
When we are looking for you in this center of the city, where do you find you at your law firm?
Yes, I'm a legal practitioner, and that is by my profession.
Thank you, sir.
I'm proud to say that I'm a partner with GM Chibiliga and Company Advocates, as well as I work with Foundation for Human Rights Initiative. I'm a human rights advocate by passion. And I send greetings to all my mentors, Dr. Livingston Sewanyana, Council Sewankambo Hamza. These have been key in my growing up. When it comes to human rights violations, that is my area of passion. And when it comes to legal practice, that is my profession. So I believe I'm audibly and I'm confident enough that what we shall share from here, it will be issues really affecting the citizenry of this country.
The farm is found where?
Yes, any person who is there, please, we are located at Mabiri's complex, level 6, room AP14. We are your advocates and your solicitors. We partner for success. Take your time, pass by, and we shall share.
Thank you
a lot.
Yeah, dear viewers, with that introduction, we continue to be a station, Smart 24 TV, a station of difference that brings here for discussion experts in different fields. And it's a pleasure that they leave their office and now come to share with you the public freely. And this is what we credit the Smart Television, Smart 24 Television, for what's doing. Our topic of discussion tonight is that we will look at, is the Uganda's land policy effective for economic development? It is a question for you and me, and with a guest. You are allowed to share your views, as the production will be availing to us the Twitter handle of the station, and even with the WhatsApp, so that we can be able to be receptive also of your views that you would like to give us into this input. And we also continue to ask ourselves, with the current challenges of land, they will do have challenges of land acquisition. We are looking on also where the government had come with a land policy, which may not be known to most of the viewers. These policies, as it is normally stated, our dear guest, Uganda is always referred to be having good policies, but they are shelved somewhere. And the citizens, it is our responsibility here as Smart 24 TV to bring out briefly at least some of these points that should be known to us, and maybe we'll be able to solve the challenging concerns that are arising from the populace. So which way to go is one of the questions that we have. To bring it to our understanding, on during Feb 2013, a 54-page document was officially launched by the government of Uganda as a land policy document that dealt with the following one: looking at the background of the land policy, land question in Uganda, that is partly the historical background, Those who remember where Uganda came from, we
Sure.
were not where we are. We began with the policies which were much more initiated by the colonial government, and that's the breach when we were under colonialism. And we had our traditional way of acquisition of land, and even the land taxation that included in that part of the background of the story, looking at the Busuro and so forth. We also, in this land policy, what is contained in the 54-page document that I'm not going to read all of it here, is that we look at the national land policy framework. Now that the minister, by the then time who launched it, was Honorable Daudi Migereko, the Minister of Land, Housing and Urban Development. We also found out that in the very document there is another content for discussion, which is referring to the constitutional and legal framework,
Sure.
the land tenure framework, land rights administration, land use and land management, regional and international framework, then implementation framework. To summarize it all, the policy, the land policy of Uganda has a vision to ensure that we have a transformed Ugandan society through optimal use and management of land resources for a prosperous and industrialized economy. That seems to be a very good vision.
Very, very good.
Yes, and again, we look at the goal of this policy, which was launched in 2013, remember, to ensure efficient, equitable, we mark those words, and optimal utilization and management of Uganda's land resources for poverty reduction. Our passion as Smart 24 TV is to always aspire and be a contributory factor in this nation as a media platform that is looking and minding much more about how we can see societal transformation, how we can motivate our community to ably achieve socio-economic development. But we are aware there are a number of challenges that we have faced as a country, especially with the issue of the land question. We've had the challenges of land grabbing, which has been much more common in Buganda. And look at especially Kayunga is one of a good example. But not only here Buganda, we also go to other associated challenges in the northern part of this country. And we also go to the west. There have been also some of the areas in Bunyoro where land grabbing has been a serious question. And the one who is grabbing and the one whom they are grabbing from, it begins a battle between the power and the powerless. This evening, we have a lawyer, by a legal practitioner, who, in all of these through challenges that the country has gone through, and the litigation on matters related with the land, contradictory, life experiences for those who have acquired land, those who say this is my land, and this is not your land, it has been a challenge. And as a matter of fact, that has affected our economic growth. When you who is helping, providing legal services, I believe it is known to the public, we have many more registered court cases.
Yeah.
Our citizens are spending much more money to redeem back their land because of the circumstances we are facing that tonight. Maybe our lawyer here, you are the lawyer of all Uganda.
I'm blessed.
Yes, you'll be able to enlighten maybe what has caused this. I know it's a complex subject. One of the researchers, Hussein Azid, he continued to encourage and motivate you outside there that land plays a central role in the economies of developing nations. That was 2012. And he continued to state that it is a significant asset for most people, and agricultural products make up a large portion of national income. Remember, we are looking at how land can be an inspiring factor to economic development. He continued to mention these challenges. The major challenge when attempting to develop poor countries lies in rural sector, which suffers from extensive poverty, increased unemployment, growing income inequality, low levels of education, and poor health. He continued to state that due to the undeniable role of land, its distribution has been the center of many theories that try to clarify the favorable outcome of developing nations by analyzing rising income over time. He continues to mention more other challenges, especially unequal land ownership distribution, which results in skewed distribution of social power and income. We are dealing with real economies. Land is a factor of production. In Uganda, the government has also had the challenge with how to utilize the available land because of our land law, the legal framework. Before the government uses the land, either maybe to construct a road, it is always believed that you first compensate. The law of compensation. And at times the hands of the government is tied. Some of the developments that the country may be talking about have delayed, there is always also an issue of land, the land compensation. True. And in the process of land compensation, also the land ownership itself is a challenge, to know who owns this land. Dear viewers, with that background, I believe that you will enjoy this talk show. Be with us for properly. We believe that you will benefit a lot. You're welcome, our guest.
Yeah, once again, thanks, Dr. Joseph Tindiebwa. I believe this is a concept which is well versed within your thinking and your mindset, considering the experience you've had while serving the citizens through the local government sector. As we appreciate the land reforms or land policies, many people are living in Uganda ignorantly, not knowing on the existence of the various land reforms. Not knowing on the existence on the various land policies. Whereas others, even some educated personnel, are living within the country knowing about the land policies by osmosis. Others are getting to know about land policies by proxies. Saying, I have my lawyer Derek, I will find him at GM Chibiligo, I will find him at Human Rights and tell me about this. But there are certain issues we need to first really appreciate. The challenge we've gotten before even we delve into further into the land policies and affecting the economic development, we have a big challenge as we shall have to disseminate it further later on in the hours. The challenge affiliated to social development. No, it is not only economic development, but social development. Uganda as a state, our country, the Pearl of Africa, is very, very old. All others might say it is very young if you decide to go by the time or by the years since independence. But as Uganda, based on the various kingdoms we have been in existence on African continent. And in our living in existence, we've been occupying and utilizing land in order to sustain a living. To stretch our minds back to even before the colonialists, we once had the missionaries.
Yes.
Even before the coming of the missionaries, we once had the rulers of various kingdoms. These rulers of various kingdoms, a brief background, they had a mandate, such as mainly the Buganda kingdom. The king could just say, Dr. Tindiebwa, you're my man. I've given you 10 square miles in Kayunga.
But you could remain paying Busura.
The Mutaka doesn't pay Busuru. Yes, but the Mutaka doesn't pay Busuru.
By that time.
Yes, but now the thing, now this is the key point in the history we need to know. That as of now, we keep on saying that we have landlords. We have Takalia Kabaka. Even some prominent persons, if I may so give an example,
Buganda,
like Prince, the tutor of Chibuli, the Prince Kasim Chibinge. You hear that he has a piece of land in Chibuli, the entire hill, as they say. You happen to say, also there is, besides the Takalia Kabaka,
yes.
the Prince. Even besides the Takalia Kabaka, we happen to have the land belonging to the Buganda. Those are two different things.
Oh, come again. It is
besides the Takalia Kabaka, also you happen to have land belonging to Buganda. And at times you find out that some land is being managed by the Buganda Land Board.
Yes.
And also we happen to have the district land boards. on behalf of the central government. But also we have
all over the country.
All over the country.
Yes.
Each and every district has a land board, as stipulated and provided for by the constitution, which is the grand law. Also, we happen to have institutes like the Uganda Land Commission, which is also mandated to manage certain kinds of lands on behalf of the central government. But at times we also end up having the Bibanja holders, mainly in Buganda region, central region. We happen to have also the Bibanja holders. At the same time, we happen to have the so-called squatters. Just squatters.
Who is the squatter?
Dr. Tindiewa, if I have my 10 square miles, and unknowingly you come and occupy that land without my consent, at that particular time, you're deemed to be a trespasser.
Exactly, that's what I was about.
And I have a right to institute criminal trespass or to go civil for trespass if I want damages. But you end up at times that the landlords even don't know that his or her land is being occupied by someone. We have those particular persons. One of the professor and the judge said some years ago that if you can't know what every dealing on your land, if you can't get to know every dealing on your land, then you don't have a right to own land in Uganda. But we have those such people. You come and construct your grass thatched house, perhaps I'm abroad, you live there 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Whom are you? Are you having an interest in land?
Yes.
Which interest?
So don't you have relatives, all those who take care of your land to monitor your land?
By the way, in current Uganda, by the way, it's starting now to upgrade to a social living, a kind of living socially, kind of related to Americans or other kinds of whites. That you find a family which is clearly nuclear family.
Yes.
You end up buying your piece of land in Chibale, even your relatives don't know that you have a piece of land in Chibale because of various family conflicts, the family wars.
Our dear guest, I'm not cutting you short.
Sure.
But as you've reached on that point, the viewers, I believe they want to know the kind of ownership you have. Because as it is known to us and the viewers, the land you talked about, the traditional owned land, but which will go into the category of tenure ownership, either by customary, then you go to the other types, whether by lease.
Yes.
Would you go on?
That's why, Doctor, as I was giving an example of various lands, you can call, I don't want to call them specifically tenures because I've not yet reached there, but we have some examples of how a person can say, I'm owning land.
Yes.
And I remember I started by giving an example of the Buganda kingdom by then, even before the colonialists, even throughout the colonial period, where the Kabaka could just sit in, they have given you 10 square miles. You, the person who has been given, automatically becoming a landlord.
You are
the Mutaka, the chief. You're becoming a landlord. And in most circumstances, that was as a sign of gratitude.
Could they do agreements? How was it?
And the Kabaka just used to give out. And by then we used to know.
Pronouncement.
By pronouncements. And as long as the Kabaka pronounced himself.
So the Prime Minister takes note only.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So as of then, you become a landlord.
Okay. You
have your people serving you in your family, your relatives. Also, you have powers to say, Derek, you have served me very, very good. Occupy some 1 acre. Occupy 2 acres somewhere off my land. Occupy some, but they don't have legal documents. They don't have legal interest in that particular land. That's now how we happen to start having people, also known as Bibanja holders. They only have equitable interest. We are going to see the legal development as of then. Also, we happen now to have the so-called customary tenure if we are to come to tenures system.
I want to go with you for the sake of the viewers. Sure. Who is a legitimate Chibanja owner and illegitimate Chibanja owner? Because there is that problem and that's where the
by the way, according to my understanding and according to the law, I don't want to say that we have illegitimate Chibanja holder. We have Chibanja holders and all Chibanja holders, as long as you're falling within the definition of 1, a bona fide occupant, 2, a lawful occupant.
You know,
and to simplify,
teaching.
Yes, I'm trying to simplify now the understanding.
Thank you.
Whenever we talk about a bona fide or lawful occupant, these are people at first who have been holding land even before the coming of the 1995 Constitution.
They're good.
Some 12, 20 years ago. Also, we have such people who are holding land by the virtue of the 1928 Mvujandi Busuru Agreement.
The 1928.
The 1928. We all remember that in 1928, the Kabaka came up and issued the Mvujo Busuru Agreement.
Yes.
Where all people were staying on land not legally belonging to them are mandated to pay a busuru. And some people, they end up bringing matoke, they end up bringing like some 20,000 to the landlord. If it is Kabaka, sometimes you end up taking, going to Uganda Land Board, if it is for Uganda, and pay that particular specific term as prescribed by the Uganda Land Board. So, as long as it was by the virtue of the 1928 Mvujandi Busuru Agreement, as of now, on the 45 million population of Uganda, few people now can witness the 1928 Mvujandi Busuru Agreement, because all of us now are millennials.
In the Mvujo law. Yes.
By the way, as well as even the Ankole, we had an agreement also affecting the Ankole region. So now those are the kinds of people who could really start befitting into the definition of bona fide and lawful occupant. The customary tenure, as prescribed by the 1995 Constitution, is one of the tenures of land ownership in Uganda. Not forgetting the Milo tenure, the freehold tenure, and the leasehold tenure.
Where do we have the Milo Kenda, which has been bringing problems?
Yes, I believe I'm going to talk about the Milo tenure.
Okay.
Allow me to connect the lawful bona fide occupants vis-a-vis the customary tenure.
Thank you, go on.
The customary tenure also do not have almost a document, a legal document, because they are not registered under the system known as the RTA, the Registration of Titles Act.
Yes, yes.
You see, legally, by the time we attained our independence in 1962, we happened to get our laws as a replicature of some countries, such as UK and Australia. For the RTA, that is the Registration of Titles Act, we happened to get it from one of the systems known as the Albert Thorne system. And this was just a gentleman in Australia who said, no, let us try to own land this way. Let us have have land registered this way. That's how we happened to get the Registration of Titles Act in play. So the customary tenure has no certificate of title under the Registration of Titles Act. The person can own land customarily, even not have, by minus having a certificate. Yes. However, under the laws regulating the customary tenure, one may decide to go through the relevant authorities, such as the area chief, the parish chief, among others, and the land committees, to get a certificate of customary ownership. Which certificate of customary ownership works as if it is a certificate of title.
From the sub-county? Is it acquired by lease? Should we say that it is now transforming it from customary and maybe registered? Is there any
No. Before even reaching how one can have his customary interest registered under the tenures, you know, you might be a chibanja holder, owning land customarily that which you inherited even from your grandfather here in Uganda. For example, in Ruwero, in my home village and in my home, specifically like my dad, happened to inherit a piece of land in Ruwero Town Council from his father, which land it was customarily in nature. And there was a person who is a landlord having a certificate of title on that particular piece of land. Meaning that us, we were only having equitable interest. Whenever I talk about equitable interest, is interests which are not registered legally with the district land board or with the land authorities. It had to be upon us to look for the landlord, By that, this is now a confession that even the landlord, the registered proprietor, I will not put out the name, had died long time ago. But the beneficiaries even didn't know that they have any piece of land in Ruwero district.
The owners.
The beneficiaries, now the owners, who are having interest in the estate of their late father.
They didn't know.
They didn't know. It had taken even some 20 years, even 30 years. So it was upon us to look for the landlords, not to be fraudsters.
Council, you are bringing a very sensitive matter to the attention of the viewers and even to my attention, the host. As you describe that kind of ownership and that transition,
true,
it has caused land conflicts in our community and ending land conflicts, even the extent of people fighting. The police comes in, another one comes in and put an injunction.
Should I help you to show you how those conflicts happen to come into play?
Yes, you can explain and maybe also give us a guidance how it can be overcome, because it's a challenge.
You see, starting from the example I've tried to give the viewers and you, the host, is that if my family was had that element of fraud in us, we couldn't even take time to look for the landlords or the beneficiaries, because they were ignorant of the fact that part of the deceased's estate, part of their father, owned land somewhere in Ruwero. Some people, what they do, you know, the people in the system, the land system is managed by people. We get. So it is just a conspiracy. There is that theory, conspiracy theory, between the land officers, those who run the land management system in the district land boards and the Ministry of Land, and even in police, the enforcement officers. They have that conspiracy theory with the so-called land brokers. There is this particular piece of land somewhere, but do you know that even the beneficiaries don't know that this land is there? This land has been there for years. We have been there for 40 years as customary owners. You have never seen any person claiming that is having a certificate of title on this particular land. What are we going to do? Dr. Tindiebwa, that particular title is registered in Nachiyinji. Meaning Nachiyinji is of Indiga. And he became a registered proprietor in 1928. Why don't you become a grandson of Nachiyinji or a great-grandson of Nachiyinji? And we give you a Indiga name.
And they give you the name of the grandfather.
Yes, you become a bossa and you start claiming that I'm the customary heir in the lineage of Nachiyinji. So by that, you start now also trying to forge a way forward. You get some papers which really are from the clan, showing that you're the right person.
So are we not in a dilemma? Are we not in a dilemma? Are we not? Is there no legal and maybe a recommendable way that you can be able to streamline that kind of a transition from the traditional ownership of land,
as I said,
to a better way of owning land? As
I said, by that the law is clear, and the law is good on this. The law is forgery, fraud. The system, the judiciary has done its way and its better efforts, has put better efforts in play to fight fraud through cases being reported to the judiciary. But the challenge is the so-called conspiracy theory. And the only recommendable way is for the Ministry of Lands and Urban Development to strengthen and get measures on how these people could be easily brought to book. How can you put up a mechanism in ensuring that you see that your officers are ending up into a conspiracy theory, which are going to end up, or which are going to bring land grabbing, we get. As such, people being affected. By the time you, the real great-grandsons or daughters, get to know that you had a piece of land somewhere, some person had already transferred it, got letters of administration, from after getting a certificate of an objection, gets letters of administration, goes even for verification, as it is a procedure. You go and you have yourself registered as an administrator of the estate of the so-called Nachiyinji. From then, automatically you're going to have that land transferred to now to Dr. Tindiewa, who is coming from the Chibale region, Ankole region. From the Dr. Tindiewa, just within a week, you have it registered to the Namaka Joderi. Now he's going to claim I'm a bona fide.
You get a land title.
Yeah, and I will claim I'm a bona fide purchaser for value without notice. I mean, without notice. I conducted search. I went and really I confirmed that this land belongs to Dr. Tindiewa because he was the registered proprietor on the certificate of title. Even I went and I asked the administrators by then who had the land sold to him, and they confirmed the transaction. So which others? I went to the area, local authorities. The Dr. Tindiewa had also introduced himself to the LC1 area.
Before we go for a break, we will handle case by case. There is the Uganda case which you have not concluded on, which you will conclude. Maybe you will give a bit highlight.
And the Uganda case is too wide.
Then we'll go back to
and complex to understand.
We'll go to the break and then come back to the second session to now have a way forward in these cases. We have Western Uganda case of where we have wetlands in some areas in Kigezi. They call it the Albertine area,
Albertine
region, which connects to Kisoro, part of that. And by the way, which is a critical factor because it's the only land they have, as you know, that the area is overpopulated. Then you also stretch part of Ankole, then also part of Acholi. There is the case of wetlands. And the wetlands, yet at the same time, there is a desire of the country, of the government rather, to conserve the environment. And yet the compensation is a challenge because maybe of financial inefficiencies. Then we also have the case of land grabbing, and which is a very serious critical matter in part of North, in Acholi, and again in Buganda.
Central.
I talked about Central.
Kayunga.
And also part of Bunyoro, which has culminated in what they call the mafia has taken the land.
The Chibale Kakumiro districts.
And it is not yet resolved up to date. We also have cases of which I began by talking about the one of Buganda, where Buganda being a center that is, first of all, hosting the city with a number of need for infrastructure development, and as well with population pressure as also a challenge. Yeah, because of the increased population, everyone has to want to have own land and maybe construct a homestead, maybe construct either, some of the business centers that are mushrooming here and there. Yet, the nature of ownership of land in Buganda and the conflict between Buganda and Buganda Kingdom and the central government in terms of the land policy is quite still challenging. It was of recent realized and in the debate where the government, I believe the president made a directive which is saying no, anyone staying on Chibanja, whether it's the Chibanja cha Kawaka or cha Buganda, should be legitimately known and no one should chase such a person. So what is your take? You will handle case by case because at the end of the day, we again will look at in the second session of after we are coming back from our break. I'm not giving you a lot. You will give in your input. We will also carry on this topic even at another time. I will call you. Where we are having some of our people, the value of land. You sell land, especially I'm talking to our youth and some of the parents there. You sell land, you are going to buy a motorcycle. You are giving your son to go and buy a motorcycle. You are giving your son money, 10 million, to go abroad, Abu Dhabi, even when he doesn't know, because like betting. Either you can get rich there, or even you can even die. Even you can get nothing. What is your take briefly as you give the highlight and which will usher us into the break in 3 minutes?
Yes, let me make this clear to the viewers and more specifically to the youths like me. Let us value the so-called land. Let us value what we call land. The competition, which is the competition in regarding with land ownership currently in Uganda, is alarming. And I assure you, few years, like 5 years from now, it will be so difficult for a youth to own land within the central region. Very, very difficult. And it is so disheartening. It make us cry deep in our hearts, seeing a fellow youth who inherited a piece of land, whether Chivanja or whatever form, titled leased land, which even he or she inherited from the father. The father or the mother had to sweat, had to toil in order to get that piece of land. Upon his or her demise, bequeathed the same to his or her beloved child. Now, because of the rate of poverty in the current Uganda, because of the poor management economic system we are having in Uganda, the youths are ending up being oppressed economically and socially, and they start thinking of other avenues such as labor externalization. People are now opting to go to Dubai. Very many youths, 18, even some of them are 16.
Which advice could you give to them?
Yes,
so
in brief.
Yes, sir.
They end up going to Dubai under the name that you're going to get a job and the salary scale is 2M. They reach there abroad and they're given 800,000. But this is a person who left his mother country after selling the inherited piece of land to finance the process. And by financing the process, is ending up making the brokers rich. He or she has reached Dubai and is frustrated, is getting 800,000. On top of that, is being oppressed and tortured mentally and physically in Dubai. He or she starts thinking of getting back home. If he's lucky and completes the 2 years contract, as it is the case in most circumstances, they don't go back. But by the time they come back, they have been even sending money to some most trusted people.
When they come back, they'll buy
land. But remember, they have been sending money to one Chuwes, to one Akora. You send money that construct me a house, buy me a house. Then you end up and you end up getting surprised. The so-called trusted Chuwes ate the money. The so-called trusted Akora used the money for other purposes. Then you start becoming a wanderer within your own home country.
Yes.
You have not saved the money you've gotten from Dubai. You've come back home. You don't have even where to sleep. So my humble request is...
And advice.
Yes. Let us be... Yes, I know. I already know. I acknowledge the fact that the youths are hardworking. You cannot sustain a living in the current Uganda if you're not hardworking. Please, don't lose hope. Stay focused. Be hardworking, and above all, be a smart youth.
Use the land for production. Thank you so much.
If I said be a smart youth, you have to utilize land
for production
and for a living.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for staying with us, Smart 24 TV. We are still with Derek, Mr. Council Derek Frederick Namakajo, and he's taking us through a series of teaching and informing us on how best we can use land, and together analyzing the state of the current land policy in Uganda. Why is it facing challenges, especially to steer economic development? Stay with us as we come again together in the second session. God bless you.